Okay. Hi. I'm
Hey.
I was in the shittiest mood 5 seconds ago, so because I couldn't find something and nothing will send me into the trenches of hell faster than looking for something that I cannot find, okay? But, okay, so here's the deal for the audience. I met you on one of your shows, Instant Soul Sisters, but I don't actually know shit about you, so let's start there. Tell me, give me however you wanna, like, introduce yourself to tell me about you. You take as short
Okay.
or long as you want.
I realized that this morning too. I was like, huh, we actually didn't really get to know each other that much, but it's okay. Okay, so I'm Ashana. I was not always Ashana. My name used to be Breezy. I was always that person who I didn't really have a sense of self, so I like focused on other people. So I was very much like a person focused person. And then
Leo
went
moon,
through, I guess,
don't feel seen, so
yeah,
you try to see others to be seen, yeah.
yeah, because that works, right? That's
Super good,
obviously
yeah,
the way
I not at all
beautiful.
self-sacrificing, and we got everything we needed out of it. Mhm.
So, yeah, so I mean, I went through I feel like my whole fucking life has been a spiritual journey. I'm like, "Oh, I went through a spiritual journey," and it's like, "No, that was literally since before I was born,
That
but
was
it's
phase
okay."
1.
Yeah, yeah, I had a really awful marriage. I married young and it was bad, and there was like a me before that and then a me after that where I like lost my spark, lost my personality. I was not fun anymore, like, you know?
Yeah.
Joined a cult, left that.
Oh
That
my
was
god,
fun. Good.
that's fucking hilarious. Joined a cult. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Shaved my head at some point, and here we are.
Holy
No,
shit,
that was
okay.
awful.
Wow. Okay, first question. What was your childhood like? Were your parents married or divorced?
Oh god, no. I didn't know marriage was a thing. My dad was gone when I was born. My mom had a girlfriend. The girlfriend was the only parent I actually attached to. Dad
Oh.
came back when I was 9 and got me out of the adoption home, and my mom had borderline personality disorder.
You were in a group home? Like
Yeah,
a
so,
Baptist children's home type sitch?
that one no, not this one, thank the Lord, I kinda think for that, because I was already so, like, down on myself because I was raised Southern Baptist, so, like,
Me
I thought
too.
for sure I was going to hell already.
Oh, already, yeah. Well, we're
Um,
born into sin, so
yeah,
yeah.
the church trauma was a lot for me to get out of, but, um shit, what was the question?
Your parents. Okay, so you had an absent dad. Are you a Virgo moon? No, you're not, right?
No, my Venus is in Virgo.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but then he's the one who came and got you out of this group home.
Oh, that was the question, the group home, yeah, so me and my siblings went to foster homes,
Okay.
and they kept, like, splitting us up and
Yeah.
sending us to different foster homes. But then my baby brother was gonna get adopted by our foster parents, and they didn't want me, they just wanted a little boy. So I went to a shelter, like a group home, a shelter home, where you're basically you age out or you get adopted.
Yeah.
And then that was when my dad stepped in and got me and my baby brother. So,
Okay. So it how many siblings are there? Just you and him or
4 of us from my mom, and then my dad brought in another 2, so there's 6 of us total
okay. But
with,
the
like
4
I
that
think
you
there's,
were
like, 4 dads
primarily,
and 2.
like, removed from care with, it was you and 3 others?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Wow, our stories
yeah,
are so
yeah.
similar. Um, well, sort of.
Really?
Sort of. I had so, okay, here's where I struggle to take up space to talk about my foster care experience because it was not like other people's. Um, so I have lots of half siblings, which love them,
Mhm.
feel the same
Your
relationship, but
siblings.
they didn't experience the trauma in my house with me. So my older brother is 13 months older. My younger brother's 14 months younger than me. So we're just, and it was my
Yep.
mom and dad that, we're together. But we did a lot of back and forth between when before I was 5, it was both parents trying, even though we had already been
Mhm.
removed. I was in my first foster home before I was 1, and so was my older brother, and then but we were separated. My younger brother wasn't born yet, obviously. But
Yep.
my older brother was in one that was so bad that it got shut down. I won't get too graphic. And then
Mhm.
we were going to be adopted out, but our parents together kidnapped us from the DHS office, like from the parking lot. Yes,
Plot twist. Oh my
fucking
god.
kidnapped us. And anyway, the 80s were wild and you could get away with shit like that better than you could now. So, like, there was a whole thing, but they were like, "Okay, we'll give you another chance. Why would you okay, whatever." So then there was lots of back and forth between my mom and my grandparents. I always say grandma because my grandpa
Mhm.
was not present, and then he actually left us too.
Same.
But, my we ended up to fast forward the story. We ended up in long-term kinship care placement with her through a private foster care agency called the Casey Family Program, which saved my life for sure. So I didn't have any of the like house to house.
Mhm.
I mean, I had a little before too, but like, and then shit, my mama may as well have. I mean, I lost all my belongings over and over because she was constantly like, I'm sober for 5 seconds and then not sober. And then
Yep.
all of the shit that my grandma had just provided for her to start her new life with us was gone like over and over and over. But I resonate really hard with your story, especially because my older brother really had some really bad experiences. And then also, like, as a teenager, were you were you the golden child of your system or were you the black sheep?
Okay, so here's my thing about that. Someone asked me this recently, and I was sending my best friend a voice note about it. So there's two separate systems for me. There's the one with my mom, and there's the one with my dad.
Yeah.
And in both of these systems, I started out the golden child
Uh-huh.
through and through. And then with my mom, when I got old enough to start like pushing back
Oh,
and
when
saying,
you had
like, listen,
boundaries.
the
Yeah.
drugs, yeah. And like, no, I'm not gonna do these things for you anymore. Like, no, mom, I'm not gonna go around to all of my friends at school and ask them all for $1 so I can help you pay your child support so you don't go to jail. Like that
Oh
got
my
me in
God.
trouble. No.
Yeah.
So then I became like hated, like the opposite of her favorite person. And
Yes.
then with my dad, I was so the golden child, like when he swooped in and got us out of care, I thought that this was like a knight in shining armor situation. Like I thought he
Yes.
was so
He
cool
was
and
saving
to
you.
like hang out with him. Yeah. And I've tried to pinpoint the exact moment. I actually had to write about this for a college course recently. So I think it was a combination of I hit the same age that he was when his dad abandoned him. I think that was a big thing for him.
Yeah.
I think there was also the detail where I had a girlfriend instead of a boyfriend, and I think that was kind of a
Oh,
struggle for
well,
him to
Southern Baptist.
reconcile.
Yeah.
Even though yeah, even though he was so he's like a Cancer sun, so his big thing was like, "I'm very in touch with my feminine side," like, "I'm so emotional," and I get it. But there was some stuff going on deep down that, like, I really think a lot of that was a show from when he had been completely, utterly abandoned, and so,
Yeah.
I don't know, he just from that point on, I was the scapegoat, but also, like, I could tell when he looked at me, like, I could tell I still see it now in my mind, like, his eyes, he hated me, like, hated
You
me, like, why
reflected their shame. They projected their shame
yeah,
onto you, and that's what you were reflecting back. And as a person who's been
yeah,
not that shitty of a parent, but, I have had some real times of darkness as a mother. Um, it was such a figure 8 for me because
mm, mhm,
I was being shitty because I didn't feel like I was enough, and every not enoughness that I did and their pain was
made it
reflected
worse.
with me. Yeah, and it was shame to stuff that shit down. I'm now doubling down, dismissing my own shit by dismissing you. So I absolutely think, I mean, especially it's interesting too that you've made the observation that it happened at the time that you reached an age where his dad had abandoned him because he I'm sure that triggered his not enoughness because it was like he probably knew how to be a parent up to us in a certain way, but in his mind,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
had these ages covered because he had parents who he felt loved by up to that point. But also ooh, this is a point I make a lot, but it's interesting to see it in this dynamic that what we didn't receive hurts us to give to our children if we aren't healed. Like you and I, it doesn't hurt us anymore to be like, here, oh my gosh, yay, they're getting something I didn't get. But that if you're
Yeah.
feeling like well, it's just like any other resentment that's stored up when you didn't feel like you had it to give and then you gave anyway. I
Yep.
remember how many times, and I've seen this, because I worked in education for a little while. I really saw this with teachers too. The whole attitude about how we treat students comes from the fact that you didn't receive love, care, nurturing as a student. You got slapped with rulers, swatted with paddles.
Yes.
You were embarrassed, humiliated. I mean, I've
Such a
had
good
my own
point.
fair share of experiences with bad teachers, like you were humiliated in front of a
Yeah.
entire class and it was celebrated. So when they then get
Yeah.
to a position of authority, they don't know, they can't deal with the fact that your hurt kinda bothers them. They don't really know what to do with any of the feelings that your feelings bring up in them. Again, squash you like a bug to squash their own feelings. And so I really think that was a lot
Yeah.
of it. They didn't get that care, and so to give it to you caused too much pain.
Do you remember that the TV show I told you about, Boots, where the guy joined the Marines, but it was illegal to be gay in the Marines?
Yes.
It shows that in that show too, where the drill sergeant he was gay, and so, like, he was hated, under the surface. Nobody knew for sure, but they treated him like crap, and so then he did the same thing to the boy that he was training. So, I mean,
Yeah.
teachers, military, like, we see it everywhere. Parents, like, sibling to sibling, I see that in my kids now sometimes.
I see that. I don't remember if I
Yep.
told you this, but, my oldest and youngest are 11 years apart, and she has gotten the absolute worst version of me as a child, but yet he got the other side of the worst version, which was critical, overbearing. I mean, those are probably the
Yeah.
two biggest things. I was pretty nice to him as like, a kid, but like the high expectations, the fact that I felt like he was a direct reflection and extension of me, that fucked him up.
Oh my
But
god,
then the
yes.
youngest one got
Yep.
the me in the pentacle of a mental health crisis. She got me with postpartum depression and then, like, for real fucking, just at the end of my
Aw.
rope. So, that looked like a
Yeah.
lot of screaming, a lot, I would say verbal abuse, a lot of things like that. And I was more aggressive with her, and so I'm doing so much to repair that now, and he's always like, "If I were to have done that, you would beat my ass," which A, isn't true, but did I want him to think I would? Yes. I never I spanked them a handful of times, but, like, I would
Yeah.
never beat your ass, but, like, I did want them to think I
Yeah.
would because that's what I was taught, fear, then respect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
Yeah, me too.
absolutely so when he watches me parent her differently now, because I'm like, we had this conversation the other day in that, like, when she's having these really big feelings, that's a symptom of the problem and not the problem. Like, now I did find myself saying the other day, I go, "Sister, I'm trying so hard to not be verbally abusive or get physically aggressive with you, and you're just not helping here." I swear to God, it was an instant switch with her, and she goes, "Okay." 'Cause she loves to push my
What?
buttons. Yes, she goes, "Okay," and she's like, "Well, will
Wow.
you, just help me get a drink?" And I was like, "Yes, God." But I told my husband, I said, something that we've overlooked is that behavior is communication, and I think she's communicating to us she would like more one-on-one attention time, and we need to get off our
Yeah.
phones and do that. And so I've been making an effort. And listen, I'm gonna be I don't like it. I don't like to do the things she likes to do. I don't wanna sit on Snapchat and take funny pictures of ourselves. I don't wanna play pretend. I don't like any of that. I want to decompress, but I'm working on expanding that, like, little container inside that says we do things we don't wanna do because it's what
Mhm,
makes her
mhm.
happy and she feels safe, secure, and loved. So, anyway, okay. So, foster care. I guess I'll skip to tell me about the cult.
Okay, yep. So, this one is kind of a touchy subject because when I left the community full of all of my friends and the spiritual teachings and, like, we were just this very, like, tightly knit community, When I left very quietly. I didn't, like, tell everyone what I had found. I had done research, I had gone down the rabbit hole. I didn't, like, go back in there and, like, shout one last hoorah before I left. I just, like, quietly left and everything was okay. But then when I let a couple of people know that I had left, and this right here, this is, if you're worried about letting people know that you left a community of friends because you know that as soon as they find out that you left, you're gonna get, like, blocked, ostracized, talked badly about, like, said that you're eaten up with demons and you've gone to darkness and you're off the path of Jesus, like, probably a good sign that that's a cult, but it's fine. So when I did tell a few people and they did go back and let the community know that I had left, of course, that was when, 50 plus people blocked me. And I was also placed into someone's Instagram highlights being called a grifter. And a lot of like personal messages between me and them were like put out there for the whole world to see, which personally, I didn't think they were bad messages. I think they showed that I'm a genuine, kind person who is just trying to get spiritual teachings and like heal and grow and learn. um, but yeah, there's something about leaving a community that you've been in for years and years and years, realizing that once you've left the community, like nobody in there wants to have anything to do with you anymore. And now you've been isolated from everyone who you knew before. So you're starting completely over on your own. That really causes you to, like, to lean on yourself and lean on your inner connection to, the divine or your higher power, and just the message that kept coming through for me, because I would lay on the floor and just, like, ask and pray and just be like, "I just need truth. I just wanna know the truth. That's it." Literally, like, I don't even need someone to tell me what to do. I just want to know what the truth of this situation is so that I
Mhm.
can make an informed decision. And the message that I kept getting was like, "You're already getting the truth because you're feeling it in your body. So, like, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? What are you feeling?" So, it was like the ultimate in growing up in the homes that I did and getting gaslit, and then having these adult relationships of getting gaslit, and then being in a spiritual community where you're constantly gaslit. This was like the ultimate test of, are you gonna trust yourself this time?
Yeah.
So, I'm really grateful for it, honestly. I mean, I told my best friend recently, like, I did get the medicine, the plant medicine or the spiritual medicine. I did, but it wasn't just through that person because that person was the bringer of truth here.
Right.
It was the whole experience. It was all of it, and it culminated in who I am now, and I'm actually really grateful for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think when you reach any stage of enlightenment, that's you find gratitude for all of it. Like, I can't, in good conscience now, say I would take back any of it because I fully believe it was the path and that without one, you can't have the other. And so, I think I even told you this on your show, just the absence of a situation that's been causing me stress. Nothing else in the environment's changed, but just the absence of a stressful situation, and then you're all of a sudden like, "Fuck, man, life is good." Sometimes you need a little contrast to see it, and also,
Yep.
I don't believe that you find the light, the hugest light that, like, embodies until you've been through this equal amount of, like, profound
Mhm.
darkness. I think that's the reason they call it Dark Night of the Soul because, like, you have to it's like a shift, like almost like,
Yeah.
like a lunar shift, like where the sun is or the light is shining on the moon until it's not, and I think it's something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really grateful too. So, was that community kind of your support system post-divorce?
So, I've been married twice, and my first marriage ended. And post-divorce, like, he pretty much left us alone. He got married again, like, it was just me and my kids, and there was routine and normalcy. And then I did meet someone and got married to them, and he had been helping raise my children since they were 2, 4, and 5. So, like, he was around, they were used to him. So, there was that support system at that time. But when I had some similar familiar patterns start creeping into that second marriage, and I started, like, I didn't learn the lessons the first time, so here I am with him again. Um, it was very lonely, and, I would have said a few months ago, I would have said, yes, that group was absolutely my support system during that second marriage falling apart and things happening there, huge metamorphosis. But looking back now, I feel like they weren't so much a support system as like those friends who this is so crazy because I've never thought of this in this way before. You know the friends who will, like, hype you up and be like, "Yeah, girl, like, fuck them, like, you're so right in this situation." And, like, really, maybe you're not, like, maybe there might be something there that you should look at, you
Mhm.
know? I feel like this group was that, but wrapped up in a pretty bow of you should do the healing work. You need to look at that. That's your trigger. But it was the way that these mini cultures work is it's like a closed loop system of the same types of thinking. And so I don't really think that it was very supportive for me to be more open-minded and more learning and growth. I think it actually was a distraction from that on my path that was like, no, close off more. Close off more. Like go more within, isolate yourself more. I really think that it could have been my undoing wrapped up in a pretty package of a support system.
Interesting. So post-divorce the second time, was that kind of the turning point for you after you left this community?
So that one is an interesting situation.
When
I will say that recognizing that maybe he and I weren't completely romantically compatible, but that we were still able to be friends and co-parent and learn together and like trigger the shit out of each other and use that for good. Um, that realization combined with leaving the community and having to trust myself completely for the first time ever, I think that was a turning point for me because as soon as those 2 things clicked into place and I, like, got it and I was like, "Oh, okay, not everything in the world is a threat. Like, not everything is the end of the world. Like,
Mhm.
this is totally okay. This divorce doesn't have to look the way people think it should look, and I'm actually not eating up with demons and going to hell just because I left this community. Like, who would have thought?" Um, everything in my life, like, just, like, boom, 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 fell into place. Like, I got an amazing job offer that I love, and I'm still working for them, and it's incredible. My business took off for my coaching. My podcast actually grew really quickly, and prior to that, I wouldn't have even been on something like this because I was terrified to, like, video myself, right?
Oh,
So,
really?
I don't know, I Yes, yes, like, that was a big thing in that community was, it's okay to do audio, but don't put yourself out there on video because, like, your eyes and your soul and, like, people are gonna make, like, deep fake AI images of you, and it's just not safe to do that. So,
Oh
that's why
my
I say, like, that community
god.
was this it was fear, it was this closed system of fear,
Mhm.
and that's perfect for people who have been through scary, awful things, right? Because we're very familiar with fear. We've lived
Oh,
in it our whole lives.
absolutely.
Even if we've tried to pretend we haven't, it's still familiar to us, and so we're gonna gravitate towards that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it feels safe because we know how to manage fear because that's what we've lived
Yep.
in. I mean, that
Yes.
was my
Yep.
thing was like the survival mode just got worse year after year after year. Whereas like physically, I'm sure inside out, I was being burnt out from being in that
Mhm.
hypervigilant place for so, 43 years is a really long time to live in that. I know after my first child, because my mom died when I was pregnant with him, and it was kinda like that solidified my mission to be the perfect mother, but the
Mhm.
first couple of years, I I think I maybe felt peace during those couple of years, um, or as close as I was gonna get to it in those in
Yeah.
that little bit of time. But then I was also going to college at the same time and it got stressful. And so, trying to manage being a perfect mother while also having to deal with like, oh, I put my kid in daycare and I feel so ashamed of that and blah, 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 all these things and fear, nonstop fear that something happened to this child. Um, it
Yep.
just ramped it all back up again, and then it just got worse after the second kid, and, I mean, truly, that was the unraveling of that marriage was like, I'm not saying he was perfect because he wasn't, but I was probably worse than he was as a spouse, even though I did not see it at the
Mhm.
time. Like, I remember when we
Yeah.
got divorced, he was like, "Oh, I consider this a mutual decision." And I was like, "Well, that hurts because I know why I'm divorcing you, but like why I'm perfect. Like I was such a good wife to you. Oh my god, I was the most horrible fucking wife. I'm so serious. I probably couldn't have seen that until like a second marriage and then like, crazy, different person and I'm still the same. Jealous, insecure,
Mhm.
weird. Okay. But yeah, all of those years of survival mode just took me out. Like, it was like, I've given it the old college try. I just don't think that
Yep.
this is gonna be it for me. Like, well, and I don't know if you're familiar with, perfection years, but that year
Mm-mm.
oh, okay. I didn't know about it either until I was entering my ninth, but it's like each year is ruled by a different house in your however your birth
Okay.
chart is set up, right? So I'm an Aries rising,
Right.
so Scorpio is my 8th house. And the let you that year is the like whatever that house like the theme of Scorpio was the theme death and rebirth basically. And that's what happened.
Mhm.
Like I mean I literally almost died and just came out of that year completely different.
Wait, so, like, right now, what is so it's different for each person?
Yes, it's dependent upon your age. So this year
Okay.
I'm in my 10th perfection year, which is about like career, all the themes of the 10th house. And my 10th house is Capricorn. So which is also where my MC is. So it's interesting.
I need to
You
figure
have
this
to
out
look
for
it up.
myself.
You have to look it
This
up. But it
this
made
year has
so
been
much sense.
insane.
Yeah, you should look it
Wow.
up. AstroSeek, you know that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Reap, they have a little calculator, it'll tell you what year it is
Okay.
and, the themes, but it was not good. I was like, "Oh, that definitely was a death and rebirth year," because my spiritual awakening was very quick, and it was like paradigm shift, paradigm shift, paradigm I mean, I'd get like 3 or 4 in a day, and you know how, like, it completely unravels you with every one?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you aren't the same as you were 5 minutes ago once the, awakening happens, and it was happening so much, I was like, "Oh god, I think I'm in spiritual psychosis," because it was just so much, and I'm glad it's
Wow.
slowed since then, but then every now and then I'm like, "Man, I can't wait for, like, another epiphany because those feel really good when you're just like, "I get it now." But, I mean
Yes. And you know what? That's another thing about communities like the one that I left is, like, I personally believe that, like, our brain is we're gonna get addicted to something, right? Like, if something feels good, we're gonna keep going
yeah,
after it. So we have to have, like, kind of mastery over that portion of ourselves and keep ourselves in balance and, like, be the adult in the room and be like, "Okay, no, it's not time for that right now." Call me pessimistic, but I've seen it in myself. So, not to project on everyone else in the world, but so I just feel like that feeling of the epiphany, the paradigm shift, like you said, like it felt like peeling a part of me off and stepping forward as this person. And that is like a big pitfall in communities like this because you get addicted to that feeling, and you keep going after it. And so there's like this carrot in front of you of like constantly
especially if
having
that's
that feeling.
combined with, like, psychedelics or something else.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
truly,
Yep.
that's where we get all into spiritual psychosis and spiritual bypassing.
Yep.
We don't wanna feel, so we
And
go straight
yes,
to this other
that was
thing.
my thing.
Yes.
Yep, that was my thing was I was addicted to the feeling of peeling off that old version of myself, and all I was doing really and truly was trying to, like, keep stuffing that version of me back down, and so I was
Mhm.
performatively healing, right? So
Absolutely.
coming out of that community was when I realized, like, "Holy shit. I want all of those versions of me here with me in this because
Yes.
look at what they went through."
Exactly.
I'm not gonna stuff you in a closet anymore, that was awful.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry to past versions of myself, like, you're incredible and beautiful and amazing and strong. We didn't really get along for a long time, so, like, bring a chair, come sit at my table, let's talk about it, you know?
Yes.
You.
Yeah, and just I think that welcoming place where you go, "Hey, we all matter." Because I went through a small little phase too where um it didn't feel like my old behavior, but it definitely was. It just looked a little different. Whereas like so my big thing was overthinking, like just living in my brain constantly. And like I have PMDD, so for instance, I'm going to start my period any second now, which is why I'm just like a ball of rage right now. But I will notice like overthinking. During that time, I find it okay to just dismiss the shit because it's not going to serve me. I can sit later and go, what do I need to relax? Is there something I need to address? But in the moment, I find zero benefit of like, why am I having that? Because it's the most fucking insane shit. But for a little while, I found myself doing similar things all the time. Like if my feelings were hurt or whatever, rather than asking myself questions and figuring it out, I'd be like, "Oh, that's silly." And it didn't
Yeah.
feel like I was dismissing myself the way I used to, but I absolutely was. So I've just that's been a process for me of learning to stop and be like, what's going on here? Like, I haven't felt insecure like that in a while. So why would that have been triggered? And I also think it's become so second nature for me to know which wound was hit whenever I'm triggered by something, or just fear itself has been triggered, that sometimes I can skip a step in there because I don't need to now sit and be like, okay, what was hit? Why? Da da da. When's the first time I felt that? Like I don't have to do that much work just to feel a fucking feeling anymore. But because I don't do that much work to feel a feeling anymore, sometimes a little bypassing can happen. And I won't really know until a couple of days of it have gone by and I feel it in my body and I notice I'm agitated, like things are getting really irritating, like very quickly. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I've been that way this week just because I have PMS, but like yesterday, I was like, okay, I can see that I've given a little more than I had to give because we had Halloween, we had, my son's birthday was the next day. There was just a lot of me giving of myself and not like replenishing. And so I had to really like be like, man, I need some downtime. I need to just chill. And then of course that's when my daughter needed me last night. Was like, I want to hang out with you. And I'm like, I just want to be alone. But I think that we are really bad at bypassing unless we are very intentional about not doing it. And that was one of my biggest problems with the spiritual community as a whole. Because listen, I've met people like you that are spiritual who it's an instant connection and you can tell you've done, work and whatever. And then I've met people who are so dismissive and pretty emotionally unavailable, even though they're spiritual. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not gonna work for me because, like, how can you not how it's like they've just leaned into the science part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they believe in energy and they believe in these things, but they haven't gotten to the humanity portion, like Christ consciousness, humanity, the oneness, any of that, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're as far along as you think you are, friend."
Not trying to judge,
Yeah.
but this is uncomfortable for me.
It is, it's so uncomfortable. Well, I still find I don't know if you as a Leo moon have this problem, but, like, I can sometimes struggle, and I think it's just because I don't have a lot of water in my chart, but well, you do have water in your chart, so, maybe you don't struggle with this, but, like, when people are very direct, like, just very and, like, blunt, we'll say. I can still feel a little shaken by that. I don't it doesn't hurt me or really bother me, but I do have an internal response to it. Now, if that's coupled with some attitude, I'm triggered for sure. But, like, I just really struggle with that. Like, I do prefer a softer landing, but my Mercury is in Cancer, so it surprises me. Well, it's probably a mirror because I'm fucking, I'm not always super direct, but I don't really beat around the bush, I guess. My schizophrenic brother
The whole time you were
phone and is trying to call me, so yay.
Well, that makes me feel better because the whole time you were talking, my daughter was standing beside me going, "Ah!" the whole time. So I had to mute and just, like, ignore what was happening over here so I'm not like however, I did hear you. And I just
I'm
wanna
dead.
say,
You
hey,
didn't give that away at all. At
I know, right?
all. You were just, like, listening. That's I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. She, she's good now, but with what you were saying with people being, like, super blunt and super direct, I've had to sit with, like, the part of me that's taken aback by that, and I've had to be like, "Is this the little me that my father made me stand at attention for 6 hours straight while he lectured me, and the only time I got a hug from the ages of 9 to 17 was after one of those lectures?"
Yeah.
And I had to just sit there and say, "Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir." Or is this the part of me right now that's like, "Don't fucking talk to me that way, that was rude." Like,
Yeah.
we can have opinions here, but you don't need to talk to me like that, like, whatever is going on with you, that's you. But, like, we can be kind. Let's figure this out. Like, so I try to bring the softness in, but sometimes I wonder still, like, and like you were saying, when you've been through like enlightenment or whatever, like there's still moments where I doubt myself and I'm like, am I being too soft? Like, is this
Ugh.
me? So I really have to
Yeah.
feel and be like, I'm just going to be authentic right now. And if this is a person that I vibe with, maybe they'll give me feedback and maybe it can be a learning situation. But it's been really painful for me growing up realizing that there's there's people that I really wanted to like me or I really wanted us to vibe and I had to just come to terms with like maybe we didn't and maybe that's not anyone's fault.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe we just didn't.
I mean, we're
That was a
not
whole
meant for
lesson for me.
everyone, and everyone's not meant
Yeah.
for us. So I definitely sometimes sometimes people are very direct with me, and it's like that second, like initial response that's like really quick, but I'm
Mhm.
loving what they're saying, and so I can move through like, oh, expand, sit. But yeah, I do think there's a difference between just like delivering something in a shitty way that you could have said a little softer. But I've asked myself
Mhm.
too, because I'm pretty okay with the fact that sometimes I'm a real bitch. But like, I've asked myself, am I choosing to believe this is like a phase of enlightenment versus confronting someone who's being an asshole? Because I hate
Mhm.
confrontation.
Mhm.
Still, it's not my favorite
Yeah.
thing. I'll do
Yeah.
it. I mean, the fire, I've always had it, but, like, I just burned myself with it for a long time. It will propel
Yeah.
me, it's like jet fuel now if there's an issue to go resolve it. Like, I couldn't
Mhm.
even, one time, my middle kid's teacher, in essence, accused his brother of doing his homework. Like we were doing something and she said, I think we were doing a conference or something, and she said, "Well, I don't really want to know what brother knows on the homework." And I was like, "Okay, you don't know his brother if you think he going to sit down and do his brother's homework for him." Like I fucking sat
Wait,
there
wait.
and helped
Any
him.
context? Like, brother definitely didn't do the homework, right?
No.
So then why would see, and
Never helped him,
this is where I need
nothing. Like they're 4.5 years apart, but he
why
didn't help him or I'm guessing because the work was done, and I did help him, and there was I mean, I'm sure I was practically doing it because I had to go through every fucking step with him to be like, "Okay, so then what is this? Okay, then what?" And half
yeah.
the time he's not paying attention. There's all this shit. 'Cause, math homework will make me violent. I mean, that's the quickest way to get me to scream at a kid is to make them do math homework at home with
We are the same person. We're
it. Girl, it's I'm just like, "This is fucking stupid." But I didn't say shit to her face then. I was confused and triggered, but then that night I sent like a perfectly crafted email because that's the way I used to do it. I never confronted in person because I was so afraid because that was my biggest shame was my reactivity. I needed to look
yeah.
perfect. So I'm not going to speak to you in person. That's really what this show has
Mhm.
given me is the ability to like show up with brain fog, having such a hard time following along on a conversation or maybe not
Yeah.
following along but not finding words easily. Like, I've fucked up a lot. I don't care, but like it's given me the
Yeah.
ability to speak and not be afraid
Yeah.
of myself. Like there are times There's been times even on this show that I say something a little bit shitty because you triggered me, you know, like, and I don't edit that shit out, but I'm learning, like, that's gonna happen and that's okay. Like, it's you can if you need to
Yes. Yes.
make a repair, but otherwise but that was a really big struggle, so I I'm gonna do everything I can internally still to not have to have the confrontation if I don't have to. But, like,
Mhm.
I'm teaching I'm actually my daughter I can see it in the astrology too, like, how much of a helper she is here for me. And how much we help each other because teaching her the things I want her to learn requires the portion of it, right? So like she's getting better about setting boundaries, but she's asking me to help with that. Like there's some little girls down the street that have caused a lot of shit and they just weren't being good friends. And so it got to where she was like, I just don't want to play with them right now. Will you help me tell them that? So when they come to the door, I just say she doesn't feel like playing because before she would just be like, okay, and then they do the thing
Yep.
again, and then she's hurt again, and there's this whole thing.
Oh.
And I just always focus on what feels good with your friendships, because if this doesn't feel like that, because I want to be like that bitch. I mean, and I do want to do that so badly. I don't give a fuck if you're a kid. If you hurt my kid, you're a bitch. That's the fire, But
Yeah.
it's getting better and easier for her to set those boundaries. But she needs me to help her. And there was a time I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have helped her stand up for herself. I wouldn't have stood up for her. I didn't for my boys. Like, I was so fucking afraid of confrontation. Now, unless, if I could send a text or an email, it was fine. Because
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
just make sure that you
Yeah.
felt like the most total piece of shit because I was going to
Oh
use
my gosh,
all the big
yes.
words, all the big words I could use to show you that I'm
Yep.
more intelligent than you are. Like, I just say
Yep.
a lot, like, I weaponized my communication at all times. All times.
I did too, but listening to you, I'm realizing that, like, I had to in order to make it through my relationship with my mom. Like, I had
Mhm.
to, like, I don't think I was so mad at my dad, right? Because my dad was, like, physically abusive and, like, blamed his best friend raping me on the fact that I was wearing too short of shorts. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I could look at him and be like, "What a fucking monster." Like, "Fuck you,"
Mhm.
you know? And it was a lot harder for me to tap into, like, what I needed to feel with my mom because it was excruciating that this is my mother and I love her, and I would watch her do her makeup, and she was the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen, and just my mom, you know? And there came a point where she just, like, not only could she not fucking stand me, but she would text me these awful, mean, terrible things that I don't ever want my daughter to hear from another human at all, definitely not from her mother.
Mhm.
And so I think the only way that I had to, like, cope with that and, like, bolster myself against that was to write her back and to figure out what to say that was I look back now and I see I was still trying to get her to admit or to soften or to
Apologize.
yeah,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I was also showing her with my words, like, "You're actually doing the same exact things that you're accusing me of. You're just projecting onto me right now. This is really hurtful, but also you're doing it too. So if I'm a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. So what's going on here?" And I carried that forward with me, that manipulation of words. I carried that with me because that was how I learned to communicate.
Yep.
So when I'm hearing you talk about this not wanting to be in, like, in conflict with people or address it, I was like, "Oh, me too," because as soon as I addressed it with my mom, she
All
hated
hell.
me more. So I was damned
Absolutely.
if I did and damned if I didn't.
Yeah, because I would stuff it down. My grandma, she was mean as fuck. She was so fucking mean with her words, and she knew exactly how to hurt me. So she said it
Yep.
all. I was never good enough. I was either, too overweight, too much acne, too much hair, uh, my clothes were frumpy. I just couldn't meet her expectations no matter.
"Grandma, what's wrong? Why are you so mad, grandma?"
Well, she had her own shit. I mean, I can see back now, like, I guess she was doing okay for her shit, but she was
Yeah.
just evil as fuck to me, and I was the golden child, and she was like, like, imagine what my poor scapegoat brother got, but, like, the little baby of the family, the one she was the most codependent with, um, it was just as bad for him. I mean, but to me, she was constantly comparing me to him and saying he was a better
Yep.
person. He has a better, bigger heart. He's more giving. He's more caring. I'm selfish. I'm blah, blah, blah. And she
Oh
just
my
knew
god.
that those were the things that were going to hurt me. But I learned through the fucking hours of lectures that I got from her from my entire childhood. I didn't listen to the
Mhm.
shit when I was an adult. So it was like, okay, I guess I'm going home now, grandma. See you next week.
Yep.
But like, yes, I learned to never say anything because she was just this overbearing force. And I mean, you just had to listen and you had to make sure your face was conveying that you
Oh,
cared deeply
oh.
about what she was saying.
Oh, yeah. Yep, yep.
I used to be very
Like,
good
it
at that.
you can't, like, move your face too much or else you're cutting your eyes or getting an attitude. Did you get that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't ever shift your eyes. You have to make direct eye contact for over an hour and do a lot
Yep.
of
Mhm.
I
Oh my
still
gosh.
I know for a fact that's why I'm still so, like, at least nodding my head when people are talking because I'm like, "I'm listening." That's the only thing I can do to convey that to you right now, you know? But, like
I will catch glimpses of myself on podcasts and in work calls, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to smile a little bit." Like, I'll look like someone just killed my best friend, and I'm really into what you're saying, but I don't know, my face doesn't show it, and I'm like, "This is
well,
just
for
my face, I'm sorry."
years, I was the one that, like, could take some shit at work or whatever and just be like, "Okay." And keep the face, but I kinda knew, like, I was getting out of some people pleasing when I started to, like, the fuck on my face when they were being, the fuck behavior. I
Yeah.
like, people would be like, "Oh my god, I couldn't even look at you in that meeting because your face." I was like, "Well, you don't start nothing, well, be nothing, okay? Because, don't talk crazy if you don't want a crazy face." But for so many years, like at least 35, I was very good at pretending to care. But I did care because I would be taking like literal mental notes. Like I'd be like, okay,
Mhm.
mental note, don't say this again. Okay, mental note,
Yep.
don't do that again. I care deeply, but, like, who is gonna listen to anyone's shit bitch then for an hour and a half? But then you know what I did? I started doing the same thing. I didn't do that to my children. I would just scream, feel guilty, walk away. My poor
Yeah.
fucking husband. And then I would wonder because he didn't give a fuck. So he wasn't doing the like pretend to care face. He's disassociated from the second I start the lecture. Okay. And just like yawning and, all kinds of shit. And I'm like, do you even fucking care about this 2 hour shit bitching I'm trying to give you? The fuck?
Oh my
It was
gosh.
so bad. It was so bad.
I feel like I'm listening to someone, like, read my autobiography to me. I'm like, "Okay." M mental note. Oh my god.
It was so
I feel so
bad.
seen, Melissa.
Good. I'm glad because there's a lot of us out there, man. But we're just
I know,
repeating the
and
shit that we know.
yeah, exactly, and something else that came up for me listening to you is, like, we are deeply feeling individuals, okay? Like, my mom and my brother I don't know if anyone of y lis any of your listeners ever watched the show House. But there was a girl on
Ooh,
that
I did.
show named Amber, and her nickname was called Heartless Bitch. And my mom and my big brother, that was their nickname for me because that was the bravado that I carried, right? Like I was the Scorpio and there was walls up. I am deeply sensitive and deeply emotional and compassionate. And I literally just want to love everyone. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm severely misunderstood, but it's fine. We all are. However, listening to you, I recognize the mental acrobatics going on. And that's what we have to do, I feel, when we weren't able to be that sensitive person, when we weren't able to be
absolutely.
that vulnerable person.
Well,
It's
because
exhausting, and
the
I feel like
first
we
time you
age more.
said that hurt my feelings, you were met with, "You're too I was just teasing you. You are too sensitive. You can't even take a joke."
Yeah,
Gaslighting me to believe that this bullshit that you're feeding me was funny and that I'm just stupid for not getting the joke.
yeah,
So many years of
yeah.
that. So, was your mom an air sign?
My mom, I know her sun sign is Aries, but I don't know anything else about her,
Oh,
so
well, that's just as bad.
I know, and funny story, my 3rd child, which is, like, my wild, feral child who's here to show everyone how to be, like, the perfect human, he was born almost on my mom's birthday, like, 3 hours before her birthday.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
My wildest one, in some ways my daughter is, but like at school she's an angel. But my wildest one, my little middle one, he's a Pisces. But he's an Aries
Oh.
Venus.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's been interesting. Um,
I bet.
but my daughter is a Gemini sun like me, Virgo rising, Scorpio moon, and then my oldest son is Gemini rising, Scorpio sun, Virgo moon. So they're like the exact same. So they have the same big three, it's just reversed, and they
Yeah.
fucking butt heads like it too. And I'm like, you're the beginning, she's the end, and you're learning from each other, okay? Like hopefully at
It's
some point
perfect
this isn't gonna
circle.
like hurt you anymore to see me parent her differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Well,
see that in my oldest as well.
Well, I mean, that's the plight of the oldest, you know? Like I it I've become to this understanding where I'm like, truly the human experience, if you look at your blueprint, we're all gonna get some shit from our parents. Like no matter what. I think that
Yep.
really helped me like lay down that cross of perfectionism in terms of like never yelling or never losing your shit or, uh, baking them cakes or whatever. Like whatever perfect thing I thought I was gonna be, I'm able to rid myself of that because I'm like, it's kinda like we were talking about the other day, like, they have to learn some shit, and they're gonna go through like, their struggle is theirs. They chose this life, and so they've
Yeah.
got to go through a certain amount of shit. All of us are going to, and I'm just learning how to, like, support and also how to repair. Like, I do apologize all the time. Every single time
Yep.
he's like, "If you did that with me," I'm like, "I know, and I'm sorry." Like, I'm sorry
Yep.
because I don't have any other like,
Go
I
back and change it now, but truly sorry.
yeah, yeah, like, there's nothing I can do, and I stopped even trying to explain what my thought process used to be or whatever because I thought that would help. Like, I don't
I did.
think anything I did was right, but, like, if I would love to explain, but, like, that doesn't help. So I'm just like, "Okay, well, I'm really sorry." Like, I would never
Mhm.
do that again. I would never ever do that again. But and
But,
he
you
it's
know, they are learning, and they're learning, and I feel like I care for you now at this point. I love you, you're my friend. He's learning in an environment where he's loved and it's genuine. He's not learning out there in an environment that's fake and gaslighting him. So, like, you're doing a really fucking good
Right.
job.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been nice since he moved back home to go to college because I've been able to see some stuff too. But we've had really beautiful conversations where like his friends, because most of my shit with him stopped early. Like I realized what I was doing and whatever. So I stopped being all critical and there was some things I definitely fucked up on, but I wasn't being mean. But so his friends that knew me as he was growing up saw me as nice and whatever. So when he's trying to talk about his shit from when he was little, where I would shame him over small things, because I literally thought that was the way you parent. I mean, I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
They just don't understand, and so he's really, like, fought to own space and to own his shit and to be like, "No, like, my mama was a bitch," and so I've really validated that, and he's like, "Thank you for saying that," because 'cause I'm like, "No, I was a bitch. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I did shame you. I made you feel like the tiniest little piece of shit, like,
Yeah.
over everything because I thought that's the way you change behavior. So, yeah, no,
Mm.
you have every right to talk about your trauma and whatever. Like, no, I didn't beat you, and I didn't bring nasty stepdads around the way your friends experience, but, like, you have your own shit, and that's okay. But I also
Yeah.
understand it because I'm still fighting to, like, take up my space, so I totally get that too. Well,
Mm.
shit, man, I could talk to you all day.
I know, same.
Leave us with, kinda your overall, like, what message you're trying to, like, give to the world and, like, your shows and where we can find you.
Okay, let's see. What would you say is the main, like, theme of your show? Why do you have this show?
Um Truly, this show is about me and my journey because it's
Mhm.
the reason it's called Emotionally Unavailable, one, because I thought it was hilarious, but also because I really was like just learning how to be vulnerable. That was the beginning of my healing when I started the show
Yeah.
because I was just coming out of that mental health crisis when I started it. And then it's really just been about like my evolution and growth as a human, as a spirit, all of that. So I think it's showing in real time what growth looks like, but with people who are also doing that and sharing their light in the way that they do that. I don't know if that was a good answer. I don't know if that
No, that
helped
was a
you.
great answer. No, that was great because, like, the way that you're doing this is, like, the bravest fucking thing in the world because you're saying, I'm laid out here. Like, this is real, this is raw." And you're also inviting people to come into that, to witness it, and to be a part of it because to me, I hate this whole idea of, like, healing healed, right? Like,
Yeah.
I said to someone recently, like, the healing journey is just the human condition. Like, that's what we're here for. And I feel like everyone is here to do it with their own specific brand and
Yes.
way of seeing things, and it's relational. It has to be. Like,
Mhm.
I can go sit on a mountain somewhere and not be triggered by anyone, and I'm healed, right? But as soon as I come back down from that mountain, somebody's on my fucking nerves, like, what am I still enlightened at that point? Like,
Right.
does that go away?
Yes.
So what you're doing, I think, is so brave, and it's a good example for people, and I think if I were just to, like, leave your listeners with something, it's just the invitation of, like, it is scary. Can confirm it's scary. And I think that being vulnerable is actually a superpower in this journey. And the people who can see that and get it and meet you there and say, "Hey, I'm not always going to meet you perfectly with your vulnerability, but like at least now we know that this is a place where we can do that and we can practice and get better. It's something that we can learn and grow and get better at." So, I love this space that you've got here. I don't know if that's really leaving anyone with anything that can help them moving forward, but, I try to do something similar on my shows. So my podcast is called The Reclamation Room, and it's specifically for the experience that comes with betrayal trauma, narcissistic abuse, complex trauma that we've carried forward and maybe didn't even realize that's what we were carrying until we realize, "Oh, shit, these dynamics don't feel good. These relationships aren't feeling good, and I'm not being my best self either." So
Right.
what can we do? Action
Right.
steps. Like there's
Right.
always options, there's always choices. Even if it's in your own head, you still have the choice to shift your perspective.
Mhm.
So that's what I try to do with my shows. I also host Voices of Strength, which is just helping victims and survivors of domestic violence speak out and share what they've been through because I feel like there's this huge stigma and shame around that of we want to silence it. It's uncomfortable. We don't want to talk about it. And I believe that talking about it is how things change. We have to start by bringing it out of the dark, bringing it out of the
Yeah.
closet, right? So, um yeah, I mean people can look me up. I'm the host of the Reclamation Room. I'm on social media at Way Home Wellness. So, that's me. I'm just here to meet people and remind people like you're fucking awesome. Don't forget
I
that,
love
okay?
that. Yeah. Man, I'm so lucky to have met you. I'm so excited. And your review of me as a
Right?
guest was so sweet. It made me so happy. I was like,
I'm
"Damn,
glad.
she's in
I
with a
meant
lot
it.
of folk too." Shit.
No, I'm glad. However, I think you found me, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I guess I did because I was like, "Hey, can I be on your show?" But I was
But okay, but
glad.
we have to tell your listeners, I had already stalked your show and was like, I would love to be on her show. Nah, like I'm just starting out. Like, so
But
it
I
was meant to be. It was
saw
serendipity.
on our pod match conversation that you had said, "Could we do a swap?" Whenever I went back to look for
Did I?
something. Yeah,
Look at me, drunk me looking out for sober me that day.
exactly. Girl, you got to put yourself out there. Listen,
Here
rejections
for
are
it.
hard. I took the first few pretty tough, I won't lie. Like, I was like but then it just got to where, like, sometimes I'll let the number of my conversion rate get to me because, Podmatch will be like, this is how your percentage of how often you pitch yourself to how often you're a guest. And I mean, I've done like
Yep.
50 now in this year, I think. I don't remember how long I started because I really hit it hard there for a minute. But I don't care anymore. Like I was like, okay, I could work on my pitch a little bit. I've changed that a little bit. But otherwise, and I'm actually changing the intro and the description of the show to actually start saying out loud, like, "No, truly, this show's about me." Like,
Yeah.
I'm standing in that authority more. Like, yes, I want you along because you're a part of my community. Whoever wants to be a part of this community, great. But, like, I am living out loud and I'm inviting people to be a part of that experience. So, I have
I
I've
fucking
only
love
gotten more comfortable really even acknowledging that in the last few months, but I'm getting there. But yeah, just fucking pitch yourself. And then if they say no, I just immediately archive the message and move on. Like I don't think about it again. I don't anything because
Don't
I
have to
mean
look at that again. It's like it
our
never
little Leo
happened.
moon asses, they'll get us sometimes. Like, what? You didn't think I was good enough to be? But then I've been turned away for the dumbest shit that I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you weren't meant for me. If
Do they say what they turn you down for?
Well, one time I had somebody ask me not to air uh an episode on my show that we had done because I cussed too much and I'm just too casual in general because I was wearing my robe that day. Listen, if I show up on day 1 of my period, it's not good. It's not good. Okay? I'm gonna give what I got to give, but it's gonna
Oh
be
my
like makeupless, fucking hair nasty, my robe, like that's what you're gonna get. And she didn't like that. She said she didn't feel featured enough. That was the beginning of me starting to be like, "But the show really is kind of about me, and I'm not gonna feel guilty for
Mhm,
talking on my
mhm.
own show." Because I got kinda insecure about
Yeah.
that for a little bit, like, where I was like, "Oh, I do talk a lot," you know? But there are some times that, like, if someone's talking about something that I'm actually, like, learning a shit ton from, especially spiritually, I am not talking as much because 'cause I'm taking notes, you know? But if it's like an energy exchange like this, bitch, I'm gonna talk. And I felt like that's what
Oh
we
my
were
gosh,
doing,
I
but
interrupted
she
you
didn't
a
like
couple
it.
of times. Yeah. Oh, I
No,
didn't
no.
notice if you
I
did.
actually I'm an
Good.
interrupter
We vibe.
too.
It's fine. You
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so I will include the stuff in your show notes, but do you have a guest profile or do you only have a host
On
profile?
Podmat?
Yeah.
No, I made my guest profile last night at like 2 AM, so it
Okay,
exists now.
okay. So you do have one. Okay, great. Well, if you'll send me the link to that so that I can get like, I'll have your bio and shit like that. I'll make sure I include any links you want.
Yeah.
And if you think now this is going to air sometime next week because I told you I've had so many cancellations. Probably
Yep.
Monday is my guess. Um,
Okay.
but if you think of any other links that you want included before then, I'm happy to include whatever. And I'm so glad you came on. I had
Me
such a good
too. This
time with
was
you.
exciting.
Well, good. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. Emotionally Unavailable.
I want all of those versions of me here with me in this because
Yes,
look at what they went through.
exactly.
I'm not gonna stuff you in a closet anymore. That was awful.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry to past versions of myself. Like, you're incredible and beautiful and amazing and strong. We didn't really get along for a long time. So, like, bring a chair. Come sit at my table. Let's talk about it.